start it.
Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with the host Young, and we are here with Vanitas. Hope I pronounced that right. So guys,
Yeah.
could you introduce yourself and what you do within the band?
Hello, so I am Jade. I go by Jade Maris for my musical endeavours, and I am the lead singer of Vanitas.
Right, I'm Mitchell Barlow. I am one of the left and right guitarists of Vanitas, and also the lead producer, I'd say. Should say.
And songwriter.
Lead
Give
producer,
yourself credit.
songwriter, all that. I don't like saying lead guitarist or like rhythm guitarist. Left and right guitarist. Think stereo.
Yeah. So let's dive into some questions. As kids, what were you listening to?
That's a big question because it changed a lot depending on my age. Like the very earliest thing I ever listened to at all, like when I was really young, probably like 5 or 6, is I didn't actually really know much rock metal at all. I just really liked Pink, the pop singer Pink, and I think it's mainly just because she had a bit more of a rockier voice, and that was like my first introduction. And then my mum really liked sort of like indie bands and like softer rock bands, things like Killers, Foo Fighters. And then when I was around 10, she got a boyfriend, and that boyfriend, Gavin, his name was, he really liked a lot of metal, and he was kind of my gateway. I mean, I always just I watched a bit of Kerrang, and I always kind of had this fascination with rock, and like kind of old school metal, like Metallica, that sort of thing. And then how I kind of really started delving into all the subgenres and that of metal was Gavin introduced me to Tool, and I got really into Incubus. And obviously I still listen to stuff like Metallica in that as well. And then from there, I of course became the average little emo kid. I was like sort of, if you imagine like 2012 peak emo time, that was me as a little preteen. I liked all my Black Veil Bride, and you kind of the things you'd assume, like basically any band that was on Kerrang at that time I was into, but I still kind of had metal in the back of my brain. And then obviously as I started practicing more as a singer, I got more into the progressive metal. One of my first ever bands when I was at school, and it wasn't like a proper band, it was like we'd do the school show. I just remember distinctly there was this guitarist, and he was like into prog metal and stuff. So he kind of scoffed at me, this like 14-year-old emo girl, like, you like Black Veil Bride, how dare you? You know, I like real music. He's kind of he was a bit gatekeepery. But obviously I wasn't just aware that existed at the time. And I just remember distinctly me saying, oh, so what do you listen to? Because I thought he was really cool and I wanted to impress him. So I just remember him like putting this sheet of paper in my, because I used to play guitar, this sheet of paper in my guitar bag that just said Periphery. And I just stumbled across it a year or so later and was like, I wonder what this is, and Googled it. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole with prog metal from there, and it only got stronger when I got older and went to uni and met lots of other kind of people into the same music. And then, it all went from there. So Periphery, Tesseract, Monuments, that whole shebang. And yeah, that's kind of my musical evolution. I mean, I've skipped a lot of chapters there. When I was learning to sing, the big inspirations were definitely like, I took a lot of inspiration from kind of like female rock singers, like kind of your Bonnie Tyler, Blondie, Joan Jett, that Blondie. Sort of thing. It kind of influenced my singing style to begin with, and then obviously, I mean, if you've heard me sing, you can hear my influences clearly. Like definitely, like kind of the twanginess, the little bit of emo influence from like Incubus, like I mentioned, that sort of thing, and it all amalgamates together. I mean, it wasn't always just metal. I've dabbled in musical theatre, and I've always been a bit of a drama queen. And obviously, Vanitas is big and theatrical, and you can see that inspiration there too. I like my pop music as well. I've done like classical. I've sung Latin, choir, chants, like you name it. I've pretty much done everything. So, kind of lends itself well to prog metal, where you do dip your toe in all the genres and have a go at everything.
And then
that's me.
with me, the earliest band I properly ever remember getting into was Queen. Like, oh, the good old, like, Radio Gaga, Bohemian Rhapsody, all that sort of stuff. And then, the main thing that got me into music was YouTube. Through YouTube and Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero got me into Dragon Force. And essentially what happened is, first album I ever brought myself was the debut album of Owl City, the guy who did Fireflies. I remember going to my local Asda and being like, yes, I need this album. I'm going to listen to this album all the time. It's my thing. And I had
Bon Jovi
I had Owl City's album. I had the Top Gun soundtrack, you know, Danger Zone, all that stuff on, all the Iron Eagle soundtracks as well. And that was like a strange introduction to like rock and stuff like that. And then Dragon Force happened, and that was through Guitar Hero. And I got introduced to prog rock very early on. I didn't listen to it at the time, but I have a vivid memory of like a school bully bullying me for liking Dragon Force because he was a Rush fan, and he like viewed Dragon Force as some sort of lesser music to Rush. So he thought that was a good reason to bully me. But and then I ended up getting massively into Bon Jovi and Nickelback, because I brought a Nickelback album.
Oh, that's controversial.
Yeah, controversial. Nickelback are actually amazing, I think. Like, definitely. I can't remember exactly what album I brought, but I brought another Nickelback from either a car boot in Wales or something like that. And then I got into like Games Workshop and Warhammer stuff, and I met this guy called Josh. And for whatever reason, he went, "Oh, you like Bon Jovi and Dragon Force? I'm going to show you Avenged Sevenfold." And I was like, Avenged Sevenfold became they were like my favorite band until I discovered prog. And the way I discovered prog and got into prog, I had an Avenged Sevenfold bag at school, and I went into my first proper like year 10 math class, and the tutor. I'm used to college and uni. The teacher, my math teacher, just came up to me and was like, "Hey, you like Avenged? You ever heard of like Dream Theater, Tool, Porcupine Tree?" And then for some reason he threw in a Monomath as well, which I don't know why. He threw in some just random melodic death metal band, but like he threw in all that sort of stuff and was like, "Have a listen to them. If you like Avenged, maybe you'll like them." And then I naturally got into like Dream Theater. Again, Porcupine Tree. Porcupine Tree are one of my favourite bands of all time. The influence doesn't show on Vanitas yet, but it will do eventually.
I mean, you're already writing a new riff that's very Porcupine.
Yeah. And then Dream Theater. And then I discovered bands like Periphery, Intervals and all that, kind of through my own YouTube volition. And then there's just other stuff like, I was massively obsessed with like In Flames thanks to getting into a Monomath. They introduced me to that whole like Swedish melodic death metal thing. And I think that influence shows a bit on the band quite a lot, the Swedish side of things, because I'm a big fan of Opeth now as well.
Yeah, you can definitely hear Opeth.
If you ask me to summarise the Vanitas sound, it is Periphery, a bit of Opeth, and a bit of just like, game soundtrack stuff.
Well, I really we had one we had one review come back on the EP, and it was one of my favourite quotes where someone just put that one of the tracks sounded like Periphery meets Disney, and I was like, oh my god, I love that. So like, I'm taking that to my grave.
Periphery meets Disney.
That's such a nice compliment.
It was a beautiful comparison.
Yeah. We have a question from Joe, and he asks if you had the chance to play support for any band, which band would it be and why?
Oh, tough question.
Oh,
tough question. See, there's like the big ones we could say, and then there's quite a lot of smaller ones that would just be nice as well.
Yeah, I mean, to give 3 somewhat chaotic suggestions, Periphery would always be nice because they're a massive influence. Like, it's honestly beautiful.
It's one as well.
Like the idea of that.
Top that. Yeah.
I don't think I could ever top that. Porcupine Tree for me is another one, even though realistically, our music would not gel with Porcupine Tree fans, I don't think.
It's just because you like them.
I just really love Porcupine Tree. And then third, the chaotic one. For some reason, because we're like quite an orchestral, cinematic kind of vibe, I'd love to open for like Hans Zimmer doing like the Dark Knight trilogy stuff.
Ooh, that is one I did not expect.
When Hans Zimmer does the Dark Knight trilogy stuff live, he adds like 8-string guitars in and everything. So it becomes quite like progressive metal-esque whenever he does them live, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. Like the orchestra thing, like Hans Zimmer, that would be really cool. Obviously, Periphery. I'm generic, of course, I'm going to say that. But then, annoyingly, part of me wants to say Monuments, but we technically have supported Monuments, but when we was Verb the Noun, and that's kind of frustrating to me because our music's so much better now.
Yeah, it is.
Than it was when we was in Verb the Noun. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I still love what we did with Verb the Noun, and I still like those songs, but I just know that like we've kind of stepped up a lot since then, and it's frustrating because I was when we opened for Monuments, I was 19, and it was like I was still in uni, and don't get me wrong, I still knew it was a big deal and was like had a great time, but I was also a big Monuments fan at the time still. But I'm almost a much bigger fan now, and I especially since they've had Andy join on vocals, and it's just frustrating because it's like I wish we could have still done that, but saved it and done it now. You know what? Are you left?
Sorry, I just saw what Kevin Hyde put in the chat.
Oh, we'll get to that one later.
Yes.
Well, yeah, so I guess that, and then I'm trying to think of another band. I'm trying to think of a more like strange one, like you said.
You can't really beat the stood out nowhere Hans Zimmer, I guess.
Well, following on from that, I guess it's not technically the question asked, but I think it would be really if we could. I think didn't Architects do like a show with a live orchestra?
Yeah.
Like if we could get to that level where we have like obviously all our songs have orchestra on them, if we could have a live orchestra playing with us and like almost a stage show like, going on with it, like that would be.
I know how to score orchestral
amazing.
Music so that like classical musicians can read it. So.
I mean, you had to do it for one of his like final uni exams, so he's kind of technically it's already there. We just need to find an orchestra and have a fuck ton of money. Can I swear? I've just sweared. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I think I'm allowed to. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No,
yes, you can.
I didn't know. Well, 9 p.m. Watershed, so you know we're all fine. It's all good.
Yeah. Also, another question from Joe. He asks, "What's your favorite songs to play live?"
Oh. So, if we're talking from the EP, obviously, Vanitas, obviously, the self-titled song, which is the 4th track, Vanitas, is really satisfying to play live, just because the callback to Ghostly Coast at the end, I think everyone, hopefully, who's heard the song expects it. So you've got those people that are expecting it in the crowd, they're like singing it back, which is amazing. And then you've got obviously people that aren't expecting it, and they're like, well, you already played that song, and it blows their mind a bit, and it's great. It's just I love watching it. Like, that's the song you played earlier. I just love like seeing the dots connect, and also I love doing kind of big stories. I like just a full circle back to the start of the EP, and also it's just a nice. I mean, a lot of the songs on the EP are quite dark, and they're about like tough times and trials and tribulations, and I think that 4th song is kind of the nice cathartic. Oh, it's a happy song, and it kind of wraps the bow up nicely on the EP, so it's always nice to play that one live. But chaotically, if I'm talking of a song that's fun to play live that isn't from the EP, what we've done the last 2 shows is we did a cover of the Attack on Titan opening, Rumbling. It's on our YouTube channel, and we did that with Jacob from Recall the Remains, who did kind of the harsh vocals on that. And luckily we got him to come down to our last gig at Scruffy Murphy's and do it live with us as like a little encore, and it was so fun just having having another vocalist on stage with me. For me personally, it was just fun having another singer on stage with me and to like bounce off, and we was like back to back like singing the end, and it was really fun. So that was fun to do live as well.
For me, it's also Vanitas. Ghostly Coast is close.
Yeah.
But Vanitas is to be an absolute guitarist. There's a dual solo with the other guitarist in the band, Elijah, that I wrote purely because I knew we'd both sweat our asses off every time we played it live. We'd both be like, oh shit, here comes the dual solo. So immediately started with like some descending lead line, and both of us just shit ourselves looking at each other each time we play it. But it's so satisfying because we pulled it off, but it's just so satisfying to play that live. It's just so fun. Plus, there's just every bit of Vanitas is just a really fun song. There's no part of me that's like, oh, it's time to sweat because a hard bit's coming up. Where not all the other songs have, but like Vanitas is just so effortless now and just so satisfying.
Yeah, cool. So who got you actually into music? Was it a family member or a friend, or was it some acquaintance?
Well, long time ago for me, I didn't get. I had a friend called Josh, the same one who showed me Avenged, and he out of nowhere one day was like, "Hey, I want to do a cover of Muse Uprising on YouTube, but I want to do it with a drummer. Can you just learn drums?" And I was like, "Okay, why not?" So I went around his, got some drum lessons, could only play in 3/4. Nothing happened with that for a bit, and then he asked me again, so I actually brought a drum kit, tried, gave up with it after like trying a tiny bit, then didn't know what to do after finishing high school. Decided I really liked through high school I got some experience with like recording music and I really liked it. And then I went to college, did music tech, wanted to practice the hardest instrument to mic, drums, but wanted to record a drummer so I could test. So I started practicing drums again. And then I got into guitar because I'd practiced drums and I was like, it's cool that I can play an instrument, but I can't write songs. I've learned an instrument I can't really write songs on. So I decided to learn guitar just to scratch that itch of songwriting. So I kept falling into being a musician pretty much. And now I'm like, I love it. It's everything's fun. Drums fun, guitar's fun, bass is fun. I just like playing music now.
Yeah, Mitch is one of those really annoying people that can just do everything really, really well. And I'm here like, I'm really good at singing. And now he wants to learn how to sing. And I'm like, well, you're not allowed to because then you won't need me anymore. Then what do I do? You can do everything else, literally. Like, let me have my one thing. Yeah, no, I'm joking. But I always find that a really hard question, though, who got you into music? Because I can't there's no one in my family is a musician. No one's like, all my family kind of like music and are into different things. But no one in my family is like really into music, you know? So the only person I can really say helped me get more into music was the guy I mentioned earlier, one of my mum's ex-boyfriends, not the kind of first thing you'd expect, but it was a guy called Gavin. He was only in my life for a short period of time, 2 or 3 years, but like he was kind of a bit of a metalhead. And yeah, he introduced me to a lot of kind of more progressive bands that I would have no idea exist if it wasn't for him. And kind of from there, I sort of just the rest myself. Definitely my teachers at school and my lecturers at uni helped a lot to help me develop my skills. But I just always had this drive to want to do music and sing. But I definitely had a lot of help along the way from friends and teachers and whatnot.
Probably you didn't mention Richard Shaw.
That's a good point. I should definitely do that. So part of the entourage of amazing teachers and tutors that have helped shape me over the years. One of them happens to be Richard Shaw, who was the former guitarist for Cradle of Filth, which people always go, what? When I tell them that, I think I'm bullshitting. But no, he's from my hometown, and he literally went to the same school as me, obviously like a few years apart. But when I was a teenager, he was the guitar teacher at my school, and I had guitar lessons from him for quite a few years. And I just distinctly remember him being like, "Oh yeah, I can't do your lesson next week. I've got auditions." And that was him auditioning for Cradle of Filth. And then because he actually helped mentor my first ever band, it was just this after school club, and we'd turn up and we'd do, Arctic Monkeys cover, and he'd be there kind of stopping us from dicking about for 2 hours and make us actually rehearse. So he definitely shaped me a lot, because he was my first real experience of, wait, you can actually earn money and do music as a job. Because, I'd always said, I want to do music. And everyone was like, oh yeah, but what's your backup plan? You can't actually, music's not an actual thing, unless you're Ed Sheeran. And, seeing people like Richard Shaw, and obviously I saw a lot more people who were self-employed, independent musicians once I got kind of to uni. But prior to that, he was really my only real reference of, okay, so you can actually do that. So that was really important to me, to help me continue to explore music and see it as a real option, because, you know, everyone around me was just saying, no, it's not an option. Not in a malicious way or a mean way, just because they had no reference point, as did I, until meeting people. So
yeah. Yeah, so got a question from Awaken Eternity, and they
hello,
say, why are we your favourite Birmingham band?
well,
Your vocalist.
yes, honestly, I need to step my game up, because have you heard Chris Stando? Like, he's an amazing vocalist. I mean, the whole band are amazing, of course, but yeah, we're good. If you can't tell, we're good friends with Awaken Eternity. I mean, we both make similar sort of vein of music style wise, and we played a few gigs with them. But honestly, you guys are inspirations, and I'm very sorry that you're feeling ill and you can't play your gig tonight, because honestly, that I was gonna go to that gig, obviously, but then I have plans here doing this. But that looked like an amazing gig, so hope you are feeling better soon.
Also, fun fact, the vocalist I just mentioned, Chris Dando, he was my college teacher when I had that whole, I should learn how to record drums thing.
Music industry is a small place, but
yeah,
everyone knows everyone.
We love him.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We love you all.
Yeah. So, sort of like a question. This question for me is a bit of a follow-on from the last one. Who inspired you to become a musician? Was it somebody like Richard from Cradle, or was it somebody completely different?
Ooh.
I mean, I always had musical friends personally. Like, even when I wasn't doing any actual music stuff and was just doing tech, I had a friend called Connor, and even though we were on a music course, he'd constantly bring in a 7-string every day, and on our breaks, he'd just be practicing random death metal songs and random, like, thrash songs. Like, when I started trying to play drums, he was like, please cover Obituary with me and all stuff like that. So he helped a bit, but to be fair, for me, it's mostly just seeing really incredible musicians and going, I'd love to do that. Like, there's a guitarist called Mark Holcomb. He's from Periphery. His riff style is just insane to me. Like, he has what I try and, I'm not going to say rip off, but definitely emulate. Like, there's so many things he does that I'm, like, mind blown by. Same with this guy called Pliny. Their lead game is, like, ridiculous. They're like a modern Steve Vai, pretty much, and it's so tasty. And then just loving orchestral stuff. Like, actually, as sort of an add-on to the last question, there's one particular YouTube video that always stuck with me that made me want to learn guitar that I saw 13 years ago.
I already know what it is.
There's this YouTuber called Fun2, and he uploaded a video of him playing a neoclassical rendition of Pachelbel's Canon. And it was literally like one of the first videos I ever saw on YouTube with this guy just playing with a black and gold Strat. And I was just like, what? Guitar can make cool sounds like this? And that video can definitely be blamed for my orchestral love, my just love of guitar. So much with me.
There's definitely a few key moments that influence my want to be a singer. But I don't think there's any one particular person that is kind of little snippets of different people. Like, I don't know why, but I just have this vivid memory of being a kid and watching, like, what was it called? Scuzz or something. I don't know if it's around anymore. Do you remember that channel? SCUZZZ. Scuzz? I don't know how to say it now. Scuzz or Kerrang or one of those sort of TV channels. And I just remember, like, seeing kind of like Skunk Anansie. And one of their songs on the TV, and kind of just obviously seeing the lead vocalist and just kind of watching her and going, women can do rock. I know that sounds really stupid in kind of today's world where, you know, that's fairly normal, but, you know, back, this must have been like, if I was a kid, like 2007, 2008, like seeing that and being like, I didn't know that was an option, but I really like that. And just kind of, I think that's why representation in the music industry is so important. You know, people like to moan about it a lot of the time, but it is genuinely really vital, because if I hadn't seen that, I just genuinely didn't believe that that was an option, because I'd only ever seen men doing rock and metal, and not even in like women are bad at it. Like in my kid brain, there had no concept of anything. Like I just didn't know that it was even a choice. And then seeing that, and then I obviously got into kind of things like Paramore and Evanescence, you know, the two big ones that people think of when they think of women in rock. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's actually an option now, which is good. But it sucks a little bit, because, you know, now there's so many amazing women in metal that I really look up to. Like a big one, and Mitch is going to roll his eyes at me because Mitch isn't really a fan of them, but I absolutely love Lauren Babick, like so much. Lauren Babick.
I knew where that was going.
Shut up, let me have my fangirl moment. Lauren Babick is vocal gold to me. I just love everything she does. Both of her bands as well, Crazy 88 and Red Handed Denial. Obviously, you've got Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box. Like I could go on and on, but I think it's almost frustrating, because my newest thing is I'm trying to learn how to scream and do harsh vocals, which, you know, belting, singing, you know, I do it professionally. I do it day in, day out. That's fine now. But harsh vocals and screaming, I feel like I'm a baby again, because I'm getting to grips with it all. And it's frustrating, because I think if I thought that it was an option that women can also scream years ago, I would have probably started practicing years ago. But again, like back when I was younger, listening to kind of screamo, whatever it used to be called, screamo bands for the first time or whatever, again, you didn't really see many women doing it. And when it was more of a novelty act, like, oh, women makes loud, raw noise, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't think of it as an actual genuine skill I could even develop, because some internet idiot like genuinely convinced me, oh, women's vocal cords are different, and that's not where they can't do that noise, which is I now know to be utter bullshit, because I literally studied a degree in the muscles in the vocal tract and all of that stuff, and that's my bread and butter. But yeah, so I think seeing other powerful women in rock and metal definitely egged me on. But aside from that, like, I got to give most of the credits to I've always been very education based, but like my teachers and my tutors, just for being, again, representation of, you know, my parents from, you know, like a random mining town in the East Midlands who'd never seen a working musician before. Yeah, of course they're going to tell me think of another career path. Like, that's not an option, because they haven't seen it be an option. So then when I moved to Birmingham and was surrounded by all these like universities with lecturers that do it full time, you know, they play all these shows and do all these things, but okay, it's actually a realistic choice I can make. It became less of a pipe dream and more of a, okay, I've just got to work hard and hope. It's a bit of hard work and look married together. And that's, I think I've tangented quite a lot there, but hopefully you get the picture.
Yeah. Also, I fancy correcting you here.
Yeah.
It's Courtney LaPlante, I think.
Oh, whatever. I can't pronounce names.
Fun fact that not many people seem to know. Courtney LaPlante. Well, LaPlante. You know what? It might be.
You know what? If you got it wrong now, I hope everyone bully Mitch in the comments or bully me. Who cares?
I know. I swear it's LaPlante. I swear.
Whatever her name is, she's amazing.
She used to be in I Wrestled a Bear once.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. I know a lot of people don't. I do know that.
Like, I Wrestled a Bear once are probably one of the earliest examples of like women screaming in metal, in like mainstream metal, for lack of a better
Yeah, phrase. I can't even remember what the first example I saw was, but yeah, I'm glad it's not like a novelty anymore. It's just the standard, because it needs to be.
Yeah.
I hope I was actually right with LaPlante. I swear I've heard someone.
Yeah. I'll correct you with the comments.
Kevin, I see you there. Please tell me if I was right. I need to know now. I need to know.
Yeah, my first experience with like women doing like the harsh guttural stuff was Arch Enemy back in like when was it, about 2008, 9 with Angela Gasser and then Alyssa White Blues.
White Blues, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, Arch Enemy.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just saying Arch Enemy are quite good.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's get on to some more questions from Kevin. And, yeah, this is one about, he says, would you consider creating a porcupine tree tribute band called Hedgehog Bush to get those vibes out of your system.
Definitely, always.
Oh, Mitch
always.
is already planning it right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what? With the name Hedgehog Bush, you got to wear a Sonic costume as well.
Yeah, I can wear a Sonic costume. I'm a massive Sonic fan. I mean,
Where's your Pez?
I've got a little Pez right now. I'm eating candy out of that is just Sonic. So yeah, Hedgehog Bush, it'd be perfect. Yeah, I could create a porcupine tree tribute band and call it Green Hill Zone.
Perfect. There you go. And you can do porcupine tree covers merged with Sonic soundtrack, because then it's still like Vanitas, because it's prog stuff with orchestra, stuff. But the orchestra is Sonic the Hedgehog and the prog metal was porcupine tree.
There we go. Sorted.
Quick, we need copyright.
I've got another question from Kevin. He says, right, it's more of a statement, really. Monument's gig was Ace. Andy was supposed to be there that night as well.
Yeah, the Monuments gig was good. Yeah, their vocalist, they got a new vocalist, and their vocalist immediately fell ill.
Yeah, that was back in 2019.
Really. Yeah, it's a shame.
We saw them this year, though. We saw them more recently, just to watch the gig. And that was really fun, and they remembered us from last time, because we like to occasionally watch the drummer Mike Mallion's live streams and harass him. Actually, we paid him to play drums along to. I say harass him in a nice way, not actually. We paid money so that he could play drums along to, what was it, Traps in the Closet or something. Because it's got it all in parts on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's just ridiculous. So we paid him to play along to it, and apparently it created this inside joke or something, and then so he recognises us from that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the representation we want, but we've got it now, so whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, let's. What bands were you in, if any, before Vanitas?
I'm just gonna. Do you want to answer your first? It'll be quick.
Yeah, all right. So I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit already. My only proper gigging band that I ever did before Vanitas was Verb the Noun, which was basically just Vanitas but less good and slightly different lineup and stupid name. But Vanitas was kind of my first proper band, whereas I moved to Birmingham in 2018 for uni, and me and Mitch happened to go to the same uni for a little bit until he went to a different uni. And that's how we met, and we formed Verb the Noun. Verb the Noun was already sort of formed by Mitch and the previous guitarist, and they were looking for a singer for ages. And he was a bit sneaky. At the time, I was kind of trying to practice my vocals still, and I started giving little informal lessons to friends to kind of practice singing, but also to see if I ever wanted to be a singing teacher, which that worked out because I do that now for a living. But yeah, so Mitch was like, "Oh, hey, can I get a singing lesson off you?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" But it was very informal at that time because I was still new to teaching and stuff. But he actually only wanted a singing lesson off me, not to learn how to sing, but to suss out whether I was good at singing, to see whether he wanted me to join his band. And obviously that worked out. And then the kind of way it went from Verb the Noun to Vanitas is, we just kind of decided, look, we've got this joke name, but the music isn't a joke, and we keep getting confused. People keep saying, "Oh, you're like a joke band then." No, we're not. I mean, we make jokes and we don't take ourselves too seriously, but the music part we take seriously. So we just thought, look, our style's changed a bit. We've got these new songs that are a much higher quality. Let's just rebrand. We've got a new guitarist, which was Elijah. Let's just do that. So Elijah also used to be in a quite popular band in the local scene, Aramantis. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Aramantis, but kind of quite popular. Birmingham. Yeah. So it's kind of weird how full circle it came, really, because as well as Vanitas, I do the occasional bit of session vocals and backing vocals for Fury, if you know Fury. And I'm good friends with Fury as well. So obviously Naya's now become an official member of Fury, but Naya used to be the lead singer of Aramantis, who Elijah used to be in that band. So kind of, again, small world, full circle. We're all friends, really, which is nice. Nice little community.
And obviously there's Verb, because got classed as a separate entity. Don't want to be associated with my terrible joke anymore. Because I just thought it was a funny name.
Terrible. Our songs were good. The name was just a joke.
I just saw so many bands called like Pierce the Veil, Bring Me the Horizon, loads of stuff like that, and was like, break that down to an English joke and have that as a name. Why not? But yeah, that was not short-lived, but like a year or two, and then
we technically did it for longer over the lockdown, but nothing really happened over lockdown.
And then previous to that, I was in a band called Senfora with the Kevin Hyde that's in the chat right now.
Yeah,
and that was fun times.
You was a drummer in that.
Yeah,
band.
I drummed in that band. That was fun. Wasn't a great drummer. Much better now.
You're really harsh. You are a good drummer. You are definitely better now, but
I somehow blagged my way into a prog band after practically playing drums for like 6 months.
Impressive.
So that's how that happened.
Yeah. So what's the band been up to recently? With like, I know you just released the EP Breaking an Illusion, but what other things have you been up to?
Yeah, so since obviously that was our debut EP release, it's our self-titled EP, and was really, really busy with that. It was non-stop for months. So since releasing that, we've really just kind of focused on pushing that, promoting that as much as we possibly can. But now for us, that's really our start, and that's kind of part of the reason we gave it the self-titled name. Is this is our introduction to the world. Like, we are Vanitas. Here is us, in 4 tracks. And so for us, that's our sort of selling point now. So we've got this EP. So our main focus at the moment is definitely been, let's get some really, really cool gigs booked, and let's try and get some like really cool festivals booked and stuff, and let's set ourselves up really, and kind of get the word out there really. We've got the proof in the pudding, the songs to show it now. So now let's just get it out into the world. Obviously there's going to be plans for new music. But then they're definitely in the early stages at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I am already trying my best to write loads of stuff. I mean, there's some acoustic stuff in the works. I really like Opeth, Porcupine Tree, and I like how they just weave acoustic parts into their songs. Like, they can go from like, for Opeth, for example, they can go from like mad blast beat death growls to really quiet, almost, for lack of a better word, dainty sounding acoustic sections.
Yeah.
And I love the contrast, because then as soon as I hit back into like all the really heavy stuff, it's like intense. And then again, I want to go even more hard on the orchestral side as well. I know that much. But
nice.
Maybe something new out at the end of the year. Maybe. Don't want to guarantee it, but there's a chance. There's a chance.
One thing we can definitely sort of guarantee in the near future is we've got a few gigs coming up. We've got a gig next Saturday in Bolton, which is free entry at the Alma Inn. And then we've got, following after that, we've got a headline gig at the Gifford Arms, recently announced 20th of August. That's going to be our first time in Wolverhampton. And shortly after, we've got another free entry gig at Subside with a really, really cool lineup. And that's early September, 4th of September as well. But other than gigs, we're also working on like a long video that should hopefully be out. I'm hoping next Friday. It depends how long it takes me to edit it, because we're a very DIY band. We do it all ourselves. So maybe next week, maybe the week after. But we're actually quite relevant to this interview, actually. We're working on a documentary, kind of documenting the process of the EP. It's something, I mean, this is a bit of a spoiler, but I guess if you're in the live stream, lucky you get the spoiler. We've been working on this ever since we started the EP. Even before then, we've been just filming little tidbits the whole way. So we're finally kind of, now that the EP's out and it's there, finally putting it all together, and we're going to release like a documentary style on the making of the EP. So if you're watching still, thanks for watching still, and also look out for that shortly. And it's going to be kind of a more interactive behind the scenes of the whole EP.
Cool. So would that come out on over on your YouTube channel?
Yes,
would it
which
be on? Yeah.
we'll put somewhere in the comments for you to like have a look at if you're watching.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've got another question from Kevin. Excuse me.
Kevin's got all the questions today.
Yeah. He says, okay, serious question. Are we to look forward to a single, an EP, or an album next?
Oh, I guess we kind of answered that a little bit,
Yeah.
but
The
if it's out the three,
the dream is most likely a single in the later parts of this year. We got some plans for Halloween for a cover. That's definite. We got some Halloween plans for just cover and something, just because you gotta drop a Halloween cover. You gotta. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Possibly Ghostbusters.
That's the whole reason I'm in a band,
know,
just for Halloween covers.
Yeah, just for Halloween covers. Just do all the holidays. But yeah, single potentially at the end of the year, and then personally, I want to go fully into writing an album.
Yeah.
Hopefully a concept album, because concept albums are like the absolute goal to me, to tell a story from start to finish and just have it be cohesive and nice.
That would be definitely, I think I'm obviously, luckily we're on the same page. I agree with Mitch there. It's more just we got to do a lot of planning first and get it ready. But look out for that. I mean, we're smart. We can do that. So just give us some time and we'll definitely you'll see some more music from us shortly.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
We've got.
Sorry, Mitch is reading ahead. Stop rushing.
I can't help it.
Yeah. We've got a question from Mike Clinton. He asks, if you could collab with one artist, who would it be? And he put in brackets, you're not allowed to say me.
For quick reference, he's like one of my best friends, and I constantly just write like 2-3 minute songs that we never finish, and we just talk about for like weeks. And we should finish that. We should get together and finish that. But I was like, I think it'd be more fun if we answer alive or dead musicians, like a dead musician, a live musician.
Yeah, go on. Man.
I'm saying that purely because I'm gonna say Queen back in the heyday. I would love to collab with Queen back in the heyday. I am such a massive Brian May fan. I mean, people know me for like the headless guitars and all that, but I mean,
he's bringing it out.
Again, it's blurry, but like I've got one of Brian May's signatures because I love the man. He's a beautiful guitarist. That'd be my one for like a dead musician or like dead art. Not dead art. Queen aren't dead, but you know, including Freddie in that statement. But an alive musician as well. Probably, I would probably have to say like Pliny or Mark Holcomb. It's a bit hard to say Mark Holcomb because he's a bit troublesome now to say, but yeah. But
in terms
Pliny,
of just his riffs.
Yeah, in terms of his riffs, if I could collab with Mark musically, but not personally.
Yeah, I would say. Well, you kind of stole that one, but rather than saying alive or dead, I'm gonna say kind of out of my musician friends, and then out of like just more famous musicians that I'm just a big fan of. So out of like more famous musicians. Oh, I'm gonna stick with vocals here because it's my forte. I'd love to do like kind of maybe like a guest feature from like Lauren Babic. I'm gonna say that again just because that would be goals. And then in terms of like my friends, I mean, I already got to do a collab with Jacob, which was really fun. I'd love to do more kind of guest vocals and guest guitar solos and all that stuff on future kind of covers and releases too. But I definitely really like to do something with. Got a friend called Lilith who can do like the most brutal gutturals and screams, and she's amazing. She's really like just a stage presence. Everything is great. So I'd love to do like a collab with her in the future. And also it's a very real possibility, I'd like to think. So maybe that could be a thing. Who knows?
Cool. Mike also asked also if there was one song that you wish you could have written, which song would it be?
Oh
That's
boy,
very tough.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh, that's hard.
That's really hard. Because I guess like when I really like a song, I don't wish I had written it. I'm just happy it exists. But I'm gonna give a bit of just a joke answer. Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, because then I would never have to work a day in my life again. Thanks to Stranger Things. There you
go. I guess I'd probably say Pale Aura by Periphery, as it's one of my favourite songs ever, and I just love it. It's not a popular song by any means. Even in the band's discography, it's really not that popular. But it's just got some banging tunes in it. That's the most brummy thing I've ever said out loud, I think. Banging tunes in it!
Yeah. So we touched a little bit about what gigs are coming up and some new material. Would there be, like, if you had the chance to do a full tour of the UK or go over to the UK, over to Europe, would you do like full tour over there?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Like, one of my kind of big bucket list goals in terms of music, like there's two big ones. Well, there's a million, but two of the big ones that are always in my head is to kind of make a really fun story-based music video, which I've kind of done now with Ghost to Coast. And obviously in touring's a big kind of goal for me. Obviously the UK is like a realistic first goal, but even that, you know, that would be a dream come true. Even if it was like shitty tiny van, baby wipes, and sleeping on a car seat, like even that, just have that experience would be great.
Yeah.
But in terms of like EU, like I think a lot of like European countries would dig our music. It's, you know, it is a genre that's fairly popular in a lot of like North European countries, but also just like Europe treat their bands really well. And I know this because when I went to Switzerland with Fury last year in November, I had the pleasure of kind of doing backing vocals for them for UR Rock Festival in Switzerland, and man, I did not spend hardly any money. It was amazing. Like the Swiss, they got some dollar, and they like to treat their bands well. Like I obviously I was very privileged in the fact that I didn't have to spend any expenses on flights and hotel and that, because the festival covered that, especially since I was kind of working for Fury as a session musician. Like I kind of got it included, which was really lovely in itself, and that enough for me. That was my first time playing any gig abroad, so for me that was always like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then on top of that, you know, I brought some money with me for food and for drinks and whatever else. But literally all weekend I just had people being like, "You're in Fury, oh here's a drink," and I was like, cool, fine by me. So if that's the treatment you get, that sign me up. European tour, please.
I'd love to tour. Like UK, beautiful. There's some parts of the UK I want to go to that are like not to beef Birmingham. Birmingham, love the city and everything, but you have to travel a fair bit out of Birmingham to see some nice nature, and just other parts of like.
Oh, Cannock Chase is nice.
Cannock Chase is nice, but like that's distance from Birmingham.
Yeah.
But like, I just love to go around and just see things. And plus, there's a few places where I'd love to like play, just because I know a lot of the bands I loved and love, like had their formal years there. Like a real big bucket list. Like if you asked me any city in Europe to play, I'd say Gothenburg in Sweden, because all the like melodic death metal bands that I now like absolutely adore. I'd probably say Melodeath as a whole is like probably my second or third favorite genre, because it's just there's so many amazing bands there. But like, you know, like At the Gates, In Flames, Dark Tranquility, playing the venues they played at when they were like our size, to me would just be like so nice. I'd like love that.
Yeah, definitely. I think on a superficial note, I'd love to travel and, you know, all that stuff. But if I'm being really genuine, just having the opportunity to share my music with like people across the world, that's the real goal at the heart of it all. You know, free booze aside and all the superficial stuff, which it is fun, of course. I'm not gonna, you know, try and be pretentious and be like, no, it's all about like, of course that's fun. But like genuinely, that's what we're here for. Spread our music across the world, and just to make a connection with people, make them feel less alone, and help them hopefully believe that they can do whatever they wish to do on a cheesy note. That's the real goal.
Cool. We've got another comment from Kevin. He says you'll never top the Verb Encore 2020.
Okay, so
Oh God, I know what he's talking.
we did a
about.
headline gig that we didn't expect to do back in
It was
Verb.
like the last one we did before lockdown.
Yeah,
as well,
it was like
wasn't
the last gig we did before lockdown.
second to last.
Yeah, and we got asked for an encore, and we were like, wait, we didn't expect an encore. What's this?
Yeah.
So we ended up trying our best to improvise the first minute of YYZ by Rush, which was terrible. It was basically just a couple of us trying to figure out the band, all at the same time, and then we just played our opener again.
However, we have redeemed ourselves since then. Obviously, the stage show for our EP launch show at the Flapper the other month was a lot more professional, in which we actually learned, well, not me, I didn't sing it obviously, but they actually learned the opener of YYZ, played it properly as a transition between songs, and then we did actually prep an encore, and we did rumbling for an encore, and unfortunately Jacob wasn't available for that date, but we did get Luke from A Titan of Deity to get up and sing it with us. So we learned our mistakes, and we now always have an encore prepared just in case. Obviously not if we're opening, because we're not that dickhead opening band that's like, oh, I'm gonna do 3 songs over an encore. But obviously if it's like we're headlining, or you can kind of predict it's gonna happen, obviously we prepare for it.
Yeah.
We've got a sort of a comment from Martin Willingham. He says, really enjoyed the Monuments gig.
Yeah.
Everyone's just talking about that now, yeah.
Big Martin. Big Martin.
Again, we'd love to do it again, but well, maybe one day, who knows.
And he also asks a question, what item would you put on your rider?
Ooh. See, I could be pretentious and do, the thing that's like, I want M&Ms, but not the green ones to prove you've read my rider, that whole thing. But realistically, I would want the green M&Ms, because why would I opt to have less M&Ms than are available? But if I'm being honest, what would I want on my rider? See, as a vocalist, this is an even harder question, because if I'm going with my heart, Doritos. But if I'm being a smart singer, I shouldn't have salty foods that are going to dry me out before singing. So if I'm going to be a responsible singer, I would say lots of green tea and herbal teas, because that is realistically what I should be having, not Doritos and milkshakes. I'm not one of these people that drink before. I know people probably expect to say, oh, I want some beer. I'm not one of these people that drink before going on stage. I take it very seriously. I don't do that. On top of that, I'm not a big drinker anyway, but also I just I don't think I'd be able to sing the set if I drank. But my what's the word? My kind of thing is more food. So I'm a big foodie, so probably some form of food or tea, like I said.
Monster.
Yeah, that was to the point.
Monster Mango Loco or Monster Chaotic.
Monster sponsor us.
Yeah, Monster sponsor us. They do a thing called Tour Water, where it's just Monster cans full of regular water as well. So even Jade could do it.
Good
Monster
point.
sponsor, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've just been scrolling through the comments there, just trying to find some questions. So this is probably going to be sort of like my last question. So, any advice for people who want to become musicians?
Oh, I really like that question. That's a really good one.
Practice to metronome a lot. And even when you think it's enough, practice more. There's this whole thing that I mentally subscribe to, where when you're performing, you have for lack of a better term, I'm going to say performance processor. Your brain becomes like a performance processor. And when you're performing, you're using 80% of your brain to just focus on actually performing, and 20% of your brain on playing. And anything that you can't play perfectly when your brain is low effort, just barely thinking about it, you will not be able to play properly live. if you have to think about something you've got to play, you're probably going to mess it up.
Yeah, muscle memory.
You need to have that absolute muscle memory. You need to make sure that like you can just do it with your eyes closed entirely, because no matter what you think about your own playing, you'll get tripped up live if you have to even think for a second about what you're about to play. Like, people misunderstand them, underestimate themselves. I'm gonna say people underestimate themselves a lot when it comes to live playing in that regards, I find. I know I've witnessed it through uni. People are like, oh, I can play this, it's easy. Why do I have to think about practicing this? And then, boom, the thing that becomes easy isn't, because that part of the set they got to think about, and they got to just focus for a moment. And then, because of the heat of the moment, you got adrenaline, you're trying to focus on performing, you will mess that up. No matter what you think about how easy the part is, even if it is an easy part, like, you will mess it up. It's just live music for you.
My advice for people wanting to be a musician more generally would be, don't underestimate how many hats you have to wear. You know, you got to be, especially in today's climate, like, things are expensive, and especially when you're starting out, it makes life easier if you can do it all yourself. Now, no one realistically can do everything themselves, but if you can get a team of people that fill in the gaps in your knowledge, that's the best. So, like, you got to be social media manager, you got to be an admin, an assistant, you've got to be a producer, a videographer, a photographer, as well as really good at your instrument, as well as confident enough to speak on stage. And like, it's so many different things. I think some people go, well, I practice singing 3 hours a day, and I do. So why is it not? Well, you know, because is anyone actually seeing that? Because can you promote online? And yes, you can promote online, and your singing's good, but like, do you know how to actually get like really good gigs? And you know, it's definitely a learning process. And I you know, I'm no fucking expert. I'm still figuring it all out myself, and I'm not the best myself either. I'm not trying to say I am, but I think that's definitely been the biggest eye opener for me since pursuing music kind of more seriously, is that you got to do a lot of stuff. I mean, if you kind of time travel back and were speaking to teenage Jade, it's just like, well, as long as I'm good at singing, the rest will magically happen. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. You know, unfortunately, the talent isn't enough. That you got to do everything else. That's why, you know, people will argue there's like singers blown up on TikTok that can barely hold a note, but the reason they're blown up is because clearly people are making a connection with them somehow. And you can sit and cry about that all you want, or you can kind of join the party and try your best yourself. So that would be my advice. But I'd say my advice more specifically to singers, and you know, every singer's different, but if I'm giving advice to singers, it's that I see a lot of singers that don't view it in the same way they view other instruments. But I think as a singer, you need to view yourself as an athlete more than a musician in a lot of ways, because a lot of people subscribe to this X Factor idea, I want to call it, where it's like you're either born with this magical talent of singing or you're not. When it's really just practice like anything else. Like if I sit down and practice for an hour every day, I'm going to be better than if I didn't. Just like you would never, it's this weird phenomenon where you would never give someone a guitar who's never touched a guitar before and expect them to play it. But with singing, it's like, well, you're either good or you're not. Well, no, it's not. There's a whole technique and process to it, like everything else. But you're using your body as your instrument. So you've got to train. You're literally training muscles like you would at the gym, except for the muscles are tiny and in your vocal tract. So it's got to be like a small and often process, especially when you're trying to do more advanced stuff. If you're into metal, you're trying to do screamy stuff or belting, it's like little and often is much more beneficial than big, long stretches. So even if it's like 10 minutes a day of you repeating a vocal exercise and then singing a song at the end, that's going to be really beneficial. And that's kind of a lot of what my teaching methodology is very based around. You are an athlete. You know, that's my whole thing.
Cool. We've got a couple of comments from Death You Gripsu. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. It says tempos are very surreal, how they affect things. And they also said muscle memory is amazing for playing live. That's really opened my eyes to stuff I've learned since singing.
Yeah, muscle memory is so important.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And he says reach is the hard part of promoting online.
Also true.
Yeah, it's getting it in front of new people, because I guess the people that are already following you, that are going to automatically see your stuff, they're already following you because they already like you in some form. So it's getting it in front of the new people that's the hard bit, I think.
Very.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So, unless anybody else has got any more questions, so get them in now. Okay, so I think that might be about it from us. Oh yeah, just got one through from Mike Clinton. He says, if there was one instrument that you wish you could play that you can't already, what would it be?
All of them. No, realistically, I wish I could play another instrument really well. I can do like very basic guitar and piano stuff. But probably as a singing teacher, piano is probably the most beneficial to me. And since Mitch can play literally everything else, I guess if I can play piano, that fills a gap there for the band. So piano, I'd say.
To be a quick answer, love to be able to sing. Love to be able to. Singing is such a... So it's the last tool in my toolbox, for lack of a better
don't brag
phrase,
about it.
for trying to become a one-man band. But other than that, I'd love to learn how to play like a string instrument, like violin or something, because it's just string instruments just sound beautiful. They're just they're incredible instruments.
Now here is a very polarizing question from Joe. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Yay, always yay. Pineapple on pizza is amazing, and if you disagree, then get out.
Agreed. Pineapple on pizza is a good one. It depends on...
I was a bit worried there, Mitch. I was worried there was going to be some disagreements.
It does kind of depend a little. Like, if you're going to have a margarita pizza and just slap pineapple on it, But it depends what it's with. I find pineapple on pizza's best when it's with, like, saltier meats as a topping as well.
A good Hawaiian. You can't say
yeah, like, Hawaiians are good. I wouldn't say it's, like, a great topping if you just slap some pineapple on, like, a margarita. But it's really good for, like, a balanced thing. Like if you have like a pizza, you know, with ham and bacon and stuff like that, and then just slap pineapple on it, it's quite nice.
Yeah, okay, but we had pizza with Mike, who's in question, last week, and he had pepperoni and pineapple on pizza. Do you agree with that?
Pepperoni is still quite a salty topping, I'd say. So yeah.
I've never had that before, and I'd never think to do that, but I would definitely probably like it if I had it. So.
I've just read a question from Death here. It's pretty hard to.
Look at that.
Right, he says rest of it. He says yes. I have heard it's pretty hard to tour solo and independent, but it's hard. It's just hard to find guitarists and drummers in the small towns.
Yeah, even in Birmingham, it's kind of hard to find drummers, to be fair. And touring in general. Making money off touring, I don't think that's even really a thing anymore. Touring is very much a passion thing.
On the band, I think you definitely can make money off touring, but it's less. I guess it's more on merch more than anything, isn't it?
You definitely make money for the band, as far as I'm aware. But like, you're saying you want to go and live off touring forever now, and that's all your income. That's not a thing anymore.
Well, it depends. I think if you're a session musician and that's what you do,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but if you do it as an original act, but to be fair, I don't feel overly qualified enough to give a proper answer. But that's just my current knowledge. On
the only reason why I state that is because I've brought up Periphery quite a lot in this conversation, and they are a massive prog metal band. They've been nominated, and I'm pretty sure they've won a Grammy. But they're all on record saying that if they just had the band, then they'd all be homeless. Like, money-wise, they'd all be homeless. So after that, I was like, all right, any money the band makes, that's band money. Then I'll just make my own way in the world.
Yeah.
Mike Clinton's asked if you could both be sponsored by one brand, what would it be?
Vocal Zone, because I already know a few people that are endorsed by Vocal Zone, so I know it's a kind of realistic possibility for the future when I'm a bit more established. But also just because I always use Vocal Zone anyway, like I use it before gigs and stuff, and it'd just be nice to get it for free. So yeah, that's the
For
thing.
me, I don't even want anything from them. I would love to be endorsed by Strandberg guitars because
You don't
adore,
need anything from them. You got enough Strandberg.
yeah, I adore Strandberg guitars. They are like, they're headless. They're just so innovative. They've got a weird neck design that, well, it's not weird. It's just they have a neck design where it's designed so that the neck perfectly curves to where your thumb should be ergonomically on the neck.
You got him started on Strandberg.
Yeah, I won't go on the full.
Are you prepared for this interview to be another hour long? Because that's what it's going to be if he keeps talking about Strandberg.
Yeah, I won't go on the full sales pitch. I have sales pitched a fair. I've already done a fair few advertisement for Strandberg. I know a few people who just wouldn't own Strandbergs if it wasn't for me telling them to come round and try mine, because I do think it's like once you try a Strandberg, there's nothing else just quite like it. And I'd just love to be, again, not endorsed to get anything out of them. I'd love to just be able to more easily publicly state my love for them, if that makes sense. I'd just love to be able to go, yeah, all I do is sing the praises of Strandberg and I'm endorsed. That's sick. But yeah, it's definitely Strandberg. I mean, I got 4 of them now, I think, which is stupid for like one guitar brand, but I love them. I just love them too much.
Basically what you decimated your student finance on originally.
Yeah, student finance for me was just Strandbergs. let's just barely eat food.
See, for me it was like rent and bills and adult things, and you're just like, I'm going to buy 4 guitars. So, yeah.
Couldn't help it. I just love them too much. I refinished one recently that I got off the Fury guitarist, Jake Elwell, and it's just nice. It's very pretty guitar.
It's on the bed. If you want
I'm just gonna just in case anyone doesn't know Strandberg.
Here we go. He's refinished it himself, and he's very impressed by it. And I had to hear about it for like a long time. He's like, "Oh, I've sanded my Strandberg for another 2 hours today."
Yeah, the amount of manual labour
he did do a really good job. Like he's done that himself.
It used to be pure black.
Yeah. You did really good with this, to be fair. I mean, it's not like your first time refinishing a guitar as well.
It's the first time I've done any woodwork, like ever.
No. This is what I mean. He's that type of annoying person. Instantly, he's amazing at things.
And again,
make me very
just because I have to now do the sales pitch, the neck, the weird.
Don't drop it!
Jesus.
Don't drop it!
The weird like curvature thing. I don't know if it's very.
Yeah. No, I can see.
I don't know if it's very visible on camera, but like the way it just curves. Has like
Strandberg, please endorse this man
3
already,
different planes. God. Yeah, please endorse me. I don't want anything. I just want to be able to publicly adore your guitars even more.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I think that might be about it from us. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. So, one final question. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find us at Vanitas Band on Instagram, or Vanitas on Facebook. You can also find us on TikTok, although we need to kind of up our game on TikTok, to be honest with you. And YouTube, of course, right here. We've just dropped a link in the chat, and that is the links to all of our everything, including Spotify, all the streaming platforms like Amazon Music, Apple Music. You can listen to our debut EP. Please go listen to our debut EP if you enjoyed this interview. It's a 4-track EP, and it's a really nice little summary of what we're all about as a band. We are epic orchestra meets gent and modern metal and progressive metal, and we like to call ourselves cinematic gent. So if you're kind of like, what the fuck is that? Go click on the link in chat and have a listen and find out. Thank you so much for having us. It's been a wild time. It's been really fun. So thank you so much for interviewing us today. I've genuinely had a really fun time. So
yeah, it's been nice.
Thanks again, and thank you for everyone who's put a question in and sat and watched our nonsense for an hour as per usual. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So yeah, go check them out on their social medias, and and again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Right, have a good
thank you.
evening.
Thank you for having us. Have a good evening.
Two.